Hey everybody, and welcome back to Keeping It 1492. I'm Josh, and that eagle you heard was the eagle escaping from our recording room. Actually, it was a new touch Tom put in, and I think we all enjoy it. Thank you for that added addition, Tom.
Yes, thank you.
We did. I'm proud. It only took us about 6 takes to get into an intro.
Yeah, we were giggling like it was like our first sex ed class, and the teacher says vagina. Oh, vagina.
I was pumped because even though the more prepared we got for it, the more we laughed as it came.
Right. Where'd you get that sound effect, if you don't mind me asking?
Where everyone gets everything, YouTube.
So you just played the video.
No, I made an MP3 file and just appended it onto the...
Is this eagle going to sue us for the use of its caw?
I think it was a Creative Commons thing, so it should be good. Okay. If we're getting sued, then they're not going to get much.
He actually
we have no revenue.
Actually, I would love to get sued.
We get more
just
listeners.
For the publicity.
Right.
That'd be awesome. We'll take it to the Supreme Court.
Idea. Someone touches Taylor Swift's ass. Publicity.
Who's taking that bullet?
I don't know.
If I do it, she's going to consent. Mm-hmm. So.
And she's going to write an anti-Kyle song.
Okay.
Which will all give us more publicity.
Oh, would you get so much if Taylor Swift's song hit like iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff?
She is pretty catchy, though, I would say. Hey, so a lot's been going on this week, right, guys? A lot of crazy things.
It's a crazy world we live in.
Very crazy.
For those living under a rock, we've had some pretty historic events going on. Kyle, you want to give us a rundown on... You're better at saying it than I am.
Well, sure. So I was down south for the past few days, and while I was down there... I was actually in Charlotte, North Carolina, but not too far away from there. We had Charlottesville, where some Nazis and Klansmen, let's not mince words, were protesting the removal of a Confederate statue. And there were some counter-protesters there, in a lot of people's words, they were there to get arrested and make a statement. Others were there because they knew that Nazis like to fuck things up for the community, so they were there to help defend things, and somebody got ran over by what's essentially a Klansman, Nazi, same difference, really. And
committing a terrorist act.
Committing a terrorist act, yeah. That's way more...
That's what they do in Europe. He did the same thing.
Way more...
No different.
Exactly, yeah. And that's really the hypocrisy of this all, is that... We're seeing more terrorists by these white supremacists than we are from the people we keep calling terrorists, the Muslims, and we're gonna do a whole show on this eventually, probably next week. Yeah, next week. But we just wanted to take some time now, since it's so topical, to say that hate is wrong, and we don't stand for it in any way.
Yeah, Keeping It 1492 is very anti-hate. I don't really have too much to say about it. I'll save it for later. If you weren't shocked and offended by it, I don't know if you have a soul. And if you believe any of those things, I highly suggest you stop listening to our podcast. We would greatly appreciate that.
Right. And
yes.
we're also, I guess, 3 left-leaning gentlemen in this room. But I'm anti-hate. I'm all about freedom of speech. But we really do need to come together as a country. I think now more than ever. But there's kind of this... feeling in the air that things are only going to get worse. I really don't think this situation or incident's going to make things better. I was going to mention to you guys earlier because it's reminiscent to me of what was going on in Ferguson last year, and with the police brutality, and it was just kind of like a domino effect. Like riots and things kept happening. Like this is only the beginning. Like things have to get worse before they get better, and it just seems like there's a lot of anger in the air, a lot of negativity, and something needs to happen. And I don't know exactly what, but something bigger needs to happen to make this all stop and make us realize that we're all Americans, we're all equals, we all bleed, and we're all Americans. Just stop this stupidity. It comes down to, right?
Yeah. Again, we'll be talking more about that next week. and just so much going on with that. And we're not afraid to say we condemn it, as some others seem to be afraid to do. Maybe they'll lose some of their followers or whatnot, but we don't care if you believe in that shit. We'd be happy to lose you. So,
and that was probably our most somber opening we've had. You know what? I feel like right now would be perfect. You did the Eagle, little Paula Cole background. The theme from Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, I could. If you really want me to, I can do that. Well,
what?
We can do fun stuff like that. That involves us getting sued potentially, but
more
publicity, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, besides that, how was your week, Tom and Kyle? Was it good?
It was great. I went on vacation last week for 5 days.
Both you guys on vacation.
Consumed a bit of beverages. Realized that when you're 30, the hangover only gets worse and worse. And
where'd you go?
I went to Lake Oneida, then back home to Candoga Lake for a night.
What did you do at the stabbing cabin?
Stab people.
Oh.
So yeah, I realized that age 30 just kind of sucks. Try to party like you're 20 years still, and it's not the same.
What were you drinking?
Nothing crazy. I mean, I had plenty of Keystone. I had Natty Lights, too. I mean, I was really mixing and matching. And, yeah, it's Sunday and Monday. I didn't even eat bad. Either it was just Sunday and into Monday was terrible. So, it's to our younger viewership, eventually, if you like drinking a lot, you're not going to wake up on 5 hours of sleep and be able to do it again. You're just going to wake up and want to die.
You need to pace yourself. You need to give yourself like a day or two to relax.
It's tough because, I don't really get vacation. And everyone was together, so it was really hard to take a day off. So Wednesday night wasn't bad. Thursday night we partied hard. Friday we did. Saturday I did too. And it's just Sunday was not pleasant.
And you were doing that for 5 days?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And Tuesday I went out for my roommate's birthday. Didn't get too crazy that day, but yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, I might go out once a week now. So doing casually or hardcore drinking for 5 days in a week, that was like college Tom or college us. Don't do that at all anymore. I mean, if I would have thrown in like 4 garbage plates, I really could have just probably just been in the grave. Mm-hmm. But I didn't do that because that wasn't available to me.
And it would have been stinky as hell.
Oh God, the cabin smells so bad. When you have like 6, 7, 8 grown men all using one bathroom, doing that much drinking, that place smelled.
It sounds like you're leading up to a porn right now.
Yeah,
I do.
You already said the name, dude. Stabbing in the cabin.
Oh, I thought it was going to be garbage plates.
Oh,
pounding in Oneida.
5 of us need to take a shit, but there's only one bathroom. Should we just shit on each other?
Yeah, Tom, open your mouth.
8 guys, 1 tub. But other than that, it was a great time. So, Kyle, how was Charlotte besides?
It was
what we already talked about.
It was fun. It was kind of a drunk fest as well.
Did you?
I wasn't really prepared for it.
Eat crawdads?
I ate Bojangles.
Love Bojangles.
I ate Bojangles like 3 times.
They have great, like you walk in, little breakfast shit set up. Like you can pick what
they
you
got
want.
the Cajun fries. They're like French fries, but sprinkled with like Old Bay. That's pretty
so
good. And their chicken is better than Popeyes, better than KFC. And one of our Uber drivers informed me that Bojangles is Charlotte's originated company. So
you're eating locally then?
Yeah.
Supporting local businesses. You're all about that.
I guess so.
Their biscuits are awesome.
They make new biscuits every 20 minutes.
Really?
Is there a sign saying that?
Yes.
I thought you just knew that somehow. I was scared. Like, how much time did you spend in Bojangles?
I went super under the influence, and it was like 10:30 in the morning, and I was so amazed by all the food they had. And the like woman staring at me, but like in my mind, I'm like looking like, oh, I want the biscuit, oh, I want the sausage. They have gravy, like it's just everything you want. But like, it's out super early in the morning. It's for the taking.
And I don't even understand what the cash register person is saying to me. I'm like, yes, I guess I'll have that. And so you just got to be a yes man when you're down in the South because people are speaking to you and you don't know what they're saying.
We only have one up here, right? Isn't it off Panorama Trail?
I don't think there's any.
No, that's Popeyes.
Is that a Popeyes? Okay, darn it.
You son of a bitch.
I don't know.
You think
it was
that's
Southern.
real Cajun? No.
Popeyes is good though too. They have good biscuits.
You're making me want to go after this and go on like the 30-minute trek just to go get some Popeyes or Bojangles. I don't even care.
If they want to insert a little commercial Hell, we'll give them like a 20-minute commercial if they'll give us like
Free
$5.
food. Don't even need money.
What? There, we have an idea. We should franchise Bojangles up here.
I don't think any of us or
There was
collectively have
actually
enough
a number.
capital.
I should have took a picture of it.
Because I've looked into
Open a franchise.
getting a Moe's, and I don't think we got the capital for any.
There's so many Moe's, though, Tom. You need something that's going to set you apart.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't... Unless you have, like, a couple 100,000 or million lying around. It's like for Moe's, you needed, like, that much in liquid assets that you could get. I mean, unless you're, like, a secret bajillionaire off your painting thing...
That's how...
I don't think we're getting a Bojangles.
That's how Wahlburgers was. It says you must have a net worth of over 500,000. Because I was like, fucking Wahlburgers is delicious.
Yeah, because if they franchise, if it goes bad, they want to be able to. So I'm sure there's a
Get their
contract
money
where
and
if it
get
fails, they get their money. You have to pay them unconditionally. So I'm sure that's why they ask for liquid assets to be so high. Mm-hmm. And in case you didn't know, listeners, today's episode is about fast food chains and franchising.
Oh, but I actually wanted to discuss something that happened to me last week. Because I did the whole garbage plate night at the Red Wings game.
Yeah, I saw 13,200 people.
Yeah, it was hell. So
I can only imagine trying to get in and out of that stadium.
You couldn't get in a single line for anything you wanted, any food, like even because it was all like every stand was garbage plate related items, but the lines, like they had a Nick Tahoe's right on like a third baseline, and the line, there were people who got in there, but we left probably the beginning of the 8th inning, but people were still in line from when we showed up. And they waited there for a freaking garbage plate. I'm like, why?
So you missed the whole game for a Tahoe garbage plate?
Right. And
But
literally,
I mean, stuff like this. I mean, you know, baseball teams do this. People aren't going for the baseball; they're going for the gimmick of whatever is being done that night. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many of those people actually cared about a baseball game?
I'm pretty mad that I missed Catwoman from '60s Batman.
Julie Newmar
At Batman night at
Eagle Me Tom.
I don't have it on cue like that.
You should do like
Yeah, we need a soundboard coming up. We get the eagle noise and some Arnold quotes.
It should be our
okay, guys,
our sidekick.
We just figured out how to get all the levels and properly record things and do some, I'd say parish editing. And now you want me to throw in a soundboard?
Well, now you have these little.
Let's flush Tom's statement down the toilet.
Are those called mic socks or?
People call them wind filters, pop filters, just stuff that's supposed to, so we don't go, it's supposed to block S's and P's and all the plosives.
Oh.
That's what it's for. And not doing any plugging, but I found two of these for $9 on a very popular website where people go to get pretty much everything under the sun.
Amazon?
Might be.
Walmart? No. It's one of them.
I looked into all, but yeah. Because I was going to get one. It was $10 for one or 2 for $9. I was like, well, I'll just get 2 for $9. And it's
yeah.
At the point, I'm paying more for one. And it's I was going to get 3 because the 3-pack was $14, but I realized, you don't have a stand. There's nothing to really put it on over there.
This is a one-of-a-kind crock pot box.
He also has a colonial soldier that stares deep into his soul as he records.
I'd even put him there. I don't know who put him there. He's just been joining me. He's staring at me.
The ghost of Columbus.
Is this who is this?
It's just a colonial soldier. It could be anyone.
Oh.
It can be whatever.
The universal soldier.
That can be Benjamin Martin from The Patriot if you want it to be. It can be whoever you'd like.
You ever seen the Colonial Penn logo? Kind of looks like him, too.
They all look the same. They're all...
Kind of looks like Susan B. Anthony, too. I'm going to say Susan B. Anthony.
All right. That can be.
Rochester. Hey, but the segue...
I mean, Susan B. Anthony, she was someone who really changed the gender roles in American society, or at least changed perceptions of gender, right?
She did. And this episode, we want to talk today a little bit, because I've been reading a book. Now I was going to go on a tangent, and I will eventually.
I just wanted to get the segue.
Okay. I've been reading a book, and it's kind of about men in modern society. So men's rights and things like that. So I kind of brought it to the table this week that I wanted to kind of delve into that, just being a man in modern America today, what it means to be a man, and different aspects about it, and Susan B. Anthony was a big women's rights. What are you laughing at, Tom? Are you looking
Nothing.
at... Okay.
Nothing. I'll save it for another day.
No, you can't giggle.
I'm sorry. I don't... We might have to... Listeners, just bear with me. So, someone posted something earlier. It was a stupid meme, and I don't do memes. And because we're talking about gender and talking about how the roles of men are changing. So I'm going to kick this right off. Someone posted a meme of a 10-inch corncob dildo. And like, of course men can't compete. I got to compete with a 10-inch corncob dick. It's like, how are men supposed to compete nowadays? I just started dying at work. So that's where I'm going to start this. Continue, Josh. Let's move along. I just saw it again and I couldn't help myself.
No, but okay, Tom. Basically, I just want to go and talk a little bit about what it is to be a man in modern America and kind of different things we have to deal with, deconstruct a few different aspects, and I guess we can just delve into it.
Yeah.
I know I kind of surprised this on both you guys, but...
no,
Tom,
it's fine. I mean, hey, good thing is all three of us are men living in America, so we should have be prepared for this in some way. Well, it's not like you're asking us about, I don't know, I lost my train of thought.
Being transgender, being a woman.
Yeah.
But, so, like, I'll start with it by saying this, that growing up, being a man, like, you're kind of expected to do certain things. Not like you're expected to work hard. You're expected not to cry. You're expected to be able to lift heavy objects. Just there's certain kind of things that you're just supposed to do because you're a man. You're supposed to be the breadwinner, but all that's changing now. It's no longer. As
the societal norm, if you want to
it's no longer
with a general term.
Right. And as you were talking about, Tom, there's more and more women entering the workforce. But I kind of see us in in an odd situation because men are no longer the dominant beings.
So, since Josh is getting at what I was going to kind of talk about, I'm just going to say my fancy thing now.
Okay.
Over the past 20 years, as genders, we're in this paradigm shift where a lot of traditional male roles have become female roles, and more females are taking them, like CEOs, higher up in businesses, organizations, things like that, which were traditionally for the, let's just call it what is, the powerful masculine white male. All those positions are becoming eroding and going to females. And they talk about it now where, as far as most jobs now require a college degree, is the new entry-level high school diploma. And as we head to the future, out of all the college degrees, 60% of them are going to women, which means women are only becoming more and more equipped for these positions as men are becoming less equipped to handle these changing positions. Mm-hmm. Paradigm shift. Continue, Josh. I didn't want you to steal my fancy phrase.
No, it's great. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to steal your thunder, but what I was getting at, the point we are in, I believe it's hurting almost the male psyche because we've been built up our whole lives to be expected of something, but now we realize it isn't true, especially in modern America. Gender roles are changing. Women tend to be making more money than men. What do you think it's doing to the modern male?
Yeah, I think it is messing with the whole male persona you're supposed to live up to that kind of got drilled into our parents' heads, our grandparents' heads, and our heads maybe to a lesser extent. I feel like our parents might have been a little less hardcore with drilling in these male stereotypes, but they're still all around us. We still had a lot of it. I feel like it makes men feel this sort of an inferiority when they cannot be the breadwinner, or even if both people are working, if you're not making as much, it's kind of the same thing. Even if you're totally a progressive person on other issues, there still might be a resentment for a lot of people.
Right. Do you think subconsciously that hurts the male's ego? Like him not knowing it?
Yeah, and I think what you said subconsciously is a big part of it. Does that cause a guy to try to make up for their lack of employment with other macho things, perhaps? Mm-hmm. When I think of the masculinity that's kind of drilled into boys growing up, it's like, oh yeah, you gotta like sports, you gotta like the sort of more manual types of jobs going along with that, like cars and
Right.
so if you're not being able to have a job in that, you might still go after all those other things, drinking beer. That's goes along
But
with
doesn't it almost makes like forms an inferiority complex? You know what I mean? And you don't exactly know what it is. Like you think from the dawn of man, you hear stories about men being hunter gatherers and stuff like manly stuff like that. I couldn't tell you, like most of us wouldn't know what to do if we're put out in the wilderness. You know what I mean? And we're so far removed from that era, and that's where like our roles are changing. Men don't have to be the pre-described definition of man now.
I mean, I think it would be important to look at the history of gender roles, because I think us being, from a white European descended society, we're still kind of in this cult of domesticity that is from Victorian times, where the man is the breadwinner, the woman controls all the household affairs, raises the kids, and women were seen as morally superior, and the men would go out into the business world and they just take on all this sin. So in a way, like the women would like shield their husbands, or rather the husbands would shield women from like the sins of the outside world, so then she could raise the children.
So like Mad Men, where it's okay for him to have all these mistresses.
Well, it's part of
talk about
the
generals.
sins of
If you
the
look at
outside world.
if you look at John Hamm versus January Jones, their characters, it was '60s America, but
I like January.
I mean, just saying, he was doing a whole bunch of sinning.
So that same could be said applied to war as well too, because kind of war is a manly thing, a manly concept, right?
Yeah, and it's funny to contrast it with like Native American gender roles, because when Europeans first came here, they looked at Native American men as like womanly, because the Native American men were out hunting, and the Europeans at the time, they thought like hunting was something that kings do, like these like upper class who don't do anything. And then at the same time, you look at like Iroquois society, many Native American cultures, the government was run by women. So if you make any decisions, have to go through a woman. And meanwhile, the women were doing all the farming, which to a European settler in the New World, that was like the manly thing, is the man does the farming because they're there to get their piece of land and work at it. But
you stick your penis in the land and grow corn.
But that being said, I think it's it was only a brief time in the 20th century when women did not really work. I mean, upper class women, yeah, they were just like the homemakers. But I think lower class women, they still did a lot of factory work, a lot of piecemeal work out of their home. They're sewing for companies. They're helping
kept the
out on
country
farms.
running during World War II.
Yeah,
like they literally were the workforce during the war.
Work. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Rose the Riveter and all that.
Good
stuff.
That's kind of what led to women getting into the workplace. But I think in a way it was almost like a sham from corporate America. I think Elizabeth Warren actually wrote a book about this, how corporations kind of like took advantage of women entering the workforce, because now instead of paying one person a livable wage, now you can split that living in between two people. So now two people need to work in order for families to survive.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a different opinion. I was raised by my mom and mostly women, so I always saw women as the breadwinners and stuff. So I really don't have too much to contribute because I was never brought up in a masculine household.
No, I'm on a similar boat, but I'm just saying there are certain things that are in you, like you can't explain. Like these are things passed down from our elders, from our ancestors. Like, just instincts. You know what I mean?
Really?
I would
it's
argue,
not like,
I would argue
our society. Not like I never had the need to hunt. I don't like guns. I don't care that I don't know how to build a fire. I don't care if a female makes more money than me. I know that's a new one, but like if you're talking like base male instincts, I don't think I have any of them. Like, I don't do manual labor. I despise manual labor. Just a lot of those, I guess traditional male.
So you're telling me without having a father in your life, you don't feel kind of inferior in
No,
some way?
not at all.
Well, I think are you getting at like the gender roles are more like social and cultural rather than like
Yeah, I'm saying if we're
instinctual?
talking
That's
like
kinda
instinctual
how I feel too, I guess.
men, I would say I have none of those instincts. Like, and I don't feel ashamed that I don't. I just think in our current society where we're going, like those traditional, I guess what you were getting at, like I don't feel them. I guess just where I'm at. I don't feel
I
like
think
inferior
you're
because
an
like
exception. I really do.
I don't think I'm
you're an
feel inferior because I don't have these basic male instincts. Like I don't care that I don't know how to hunt and go skin a deer and be like, I'm a man. I'm going to drink its blood. I don't care that I don't have any of that or feel any of that.
I don't know. I think because I grew up in a similar boat, but I still feel I don't think I've exactly had a male role model in my life growing up. So there's kind of been a quest for searching out for that, but a lot of things I've had to learn on my own, kind of figure out through trial and error. But there's been a lot of I would say personally, I'm not trying to do like a therapy sesh here, but there's like certain things I feel inferior about, like just I want to my dad was an iron worker, so he actually helped. His last project he did was the Susan B. Anthony Frederick Douglass Bridge.
So he was a man's man. He worked with his hands.
Right. Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine being up 20 stories or walking on thin iron to do any of that because I'm too scared shitless. But that's like the man's man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He drank beer, but he was also a piece of shit. But also looking at that. So men mostly aren't in touch, because women I think are more. It's more, they're more able to kind of outwardly express their emotions, and I think it's kind of frowned upon, being a man and doing that, and I think that's why they're more sensible creatures.
I was actually going to get into that kind of, because I read a couple stories real quick, and one of the things was masculinity is changing. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. I mean, at least I think it's changing. And they're talking about how masculinity can get in the way of men prospering in certain work areas. Like, for example, childcare is a huge industry now. You can make a lot of money running a daycare, things like that. And one article was talking about how masculinity gets in the way of men, a lot of men going that field, even though you can make a lot of money doing it, just because it's considered womanly or pink collar, masculinity gets in the way of men choosing a career path in a field like that or a similar field.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to touch on masculinity and... I think that it harkens back to, masculine, like, I'm a man, I'm not going to work at a daycare, I'm not going to run a daycare. Obviously, there's exceptions to everything. The article was just looking in broad strokes.
We
all saw Daddy Daycare.
Disaster.
Underrated movie. Underrated. I think maybe our generation is kind of coming out of that. There's been a big, especially with, we grew up in, our moms raising us.
Yeah.
People are having kids later in life now. They're also, I think, the divorce rate is down as well.
Is it? I haven't checked divorce rate. I mean, is it still like 50-50?
I mean, it's still around there, but it's.
I recently learned that the divorce rate has actually been pretty consistent even since World War II, because the way that they measure it is the divorces compared to the new marriages in the year.
But we're getting married less and less, right?
Exactly. So that's going to make the divorce rate seem higher than it is, since less people are getting married.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is common sense, though. But
do you think us as men younger men, because we're 30, we're not necessarily young men anymore. Do you think young men coming up are going to be facing a crisis then? I mean, I already talked about the education, how we're falling behind, and if we still have these traits that harken back to a masculinity that doesn't really fit with where America's going, is this going to lead to men falling farther behind? Because I would argue we're falling behind. If you look at sectors of employment things, we are falling behind.
I think it's going to slowly fall. This generation that's coming up, I mean, maybe one of the last few generations that see it, but I think they're awakening to the fact that you don't need to play that role that has been taught of you, because I would say maybe people were born in the 70s, so 10 years before us, they're still coming up on their parents, but they also had to deal with a lot of absent fathers and stuff like that, but they, it was a lot of the blue collar workers, and you have to do this, you have to be this to be a man. So I think a lot of it's still being passed down to kids who are growing up now, and you can see it, but you can also see like there's a new kind of group forming out of it where they're becoming more self-conscious and understanding who they are as a person, and I don't think they're as afraid to step away from what is expected or what they see should,
And at the same time, I think women are starting to you still see a lot of women who do expect that sort of masculine role out of their partners, but more and more do not really. Like they kind of are fine with being on a more equal footing, or even in some cases being more of the breadwinner, or where like a guy might stay home more to take care of a kid or something like that. Like they're becoming more accepting of that, more encouraging of it.
Another one of the things I read, it was a guy who wrote a book about younger adolescent males, and he just kind of pointed out things that he thought needed to change, because he's in favor of obviously like equal gender, equal pay, the whole nine. And he was like, he did some stuff like talking about inviting boys and younger males into women's programs so they can see what it's like to be growing up as a woman, to make them more accepting, understanding, things like that. The fun thing was that not to be a manist, but he said that there needs to be less media message that portray men as like women beaters and rapists and like the masculine males of the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because that negatively can negatively affect how a male gets perceived in culture in general.
And how
I don't know if that's manist or not, but that was. I guess that would be the most controversial thing he kind of pointed out.
I think on the flip side of that, it almost makes women seem weaker if they're always like the victims to
damsel in distress.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see that all the time. Like shows like was it not CSI, but that probably too. But Law and Order, like you see that stuff a lot.
Well, we in college had to go for women's studies class. I mean, there should kind of be a reversal in that. There should be men's studies classes.
Yeah,
we're kind of labeled as dimwits. We aren't seen as like a broad species. We're just seen as like football, beer, food.
So you're saying on the whole, women are portrayed as smarter than men?
I would say so. Yeah,
I'd say that's kind of like a recent phenomenon though, because you go back decades ago and it was seen like, oh, men are infinitely smarter and more creative than women are. And so, I mean, it's almost like a welcome flip side. And
do you think
I'm sure things will even out?
There's almost a frown, like it's kind of shunned upon, like frowned upon.
But I think part of that is,
I don't know if it's like looked at like an effeminate quality of being a smarter individual, or
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is I feel like men are perpetuating that by thinking that intelligence is. It's stupid to be smart.
Like picking on the nerds in school.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that's going on now as gender roles are kind of becoming more on an even keel, then you're gonna have this like backlash of men trying to hang on to the traditional gender roles of the past, and that has its own issues.
Don't you think that, I guess, intellectualism, and that might not be a word, but I don't care, it's being more celebrated on that. Because, I mean, look at the tech sector. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, probably one of the biggest nerds in the world, and he's also one of the richest men in the world.
I think it is.
You see, I'm just saying, like,
but then there's still
the tech
that
sector,
backlash.
I mean, being smart and, a nerd is
but then the people,
probably more embraced than it was 30 years ago.
But then the men who can't be part of that are gonna demonize it. Like the men who used to hold the manufacturing jobs that are not there anymore.
We've talked about this in
You're not getting your hands dirty. You're not doing this and that.
Exactly.
So it's not equal work.
My hands have never touched a hammer. I feel like these are baby soft.
But it's weird though, because they're still like, because I look up to people, I guess, who are intellectuals more. I don't view myself as the ultimate intellectual.
Yes,
and far
Josh,
from it.
You just read a philosophical book about being a man.
But see, I'm doing that like, Kyle, I think you're a very smart person, but like I don't think I'm Kyle's smart, as much as like there are things I try to do to heighten my awareness, and that's what at least I want to do, because I want to be able to feel comfortable if I'm put in a situation and someone's talking about something where I can chime in. That's what I want to do. You know what I mean? I want to try to absorb as much information. I think what it comes down to is everybody has their own specialty, things they care about that they're going to be super interested in and be able to talk about it. Like our sports episode, like Nick, I remember after we did it, Nick was like, Tom was really engaged. I'm like, Tom loves sports. I know Tom was engaged. But, like, there are certain things, like, going back to what it is to be a man, like, you're expected. And I still think most men, it's like pizza or pizza burgers, talking dirty about what, which I still like. I grew up with 2 older sisters and a mom. I view myself as respecting women. You know what I mean? I still never got into the disrespecting women fad. Like, I've always looked at women as like...
Was it a fad?
People still do it. I get so uncomfortable. Like, we went...
Are you talking about just some locker room talk? Some innocent
yeah,
locker room talk?
like dirty talk. I think it's unnecessary. It's like...
Yeah, you see that a lot, like, when a bunch of guys get together, especially, like, you know, like, older guys, it's, like, expected, like, all right, now we're gonna talk about
women that
getting
are, like,
laid
a quarter
and,
of our age.
You know, like, yeah. And,
I feel like most of it's made up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Men also like to brag to one another. It's one of our traits.
Yeah.
We want to look good in our friends' eyes or acquaintances' eyes.
But that's an insecurity in yourself.
I always think of the...
Well, we were talking about the insecurity and masculinity thing. It goes hand in hand.
I think modern masculinity can be summed up in any town's classic rock station. Like,
yes.
So we got CMF around here, and CMF isn't, you know, like the break room can have some very like you know, just that locker room talk viewpoint. But I was driving through West Virginia on my way home, and we scanned through the channels just seeing what was out there. Landed on some classic rock, and CMF says what, like, you know, like, CMF rock, and then it plays the song. This one was like, WF15 man up, and that was their tagline before, like, every song.
Man up was the tagline?
Yeah, before every song there was just this deep voice that said, like, man up. Like, I don't know if that was the name of the station.
And what was the first song you heard after that?
I don't know. I think it was like some grunge song, like, you know, like Pearl Jam or something. And it's like, I don't know if Eddie Vedder would support, you know,
No.
man up. Like, I think Eddie Vedder's beyond that.
Kyle, how are you going to judge me in like 20 years when I own a radio station and Dashboard plays on a classical rock station? Will that judge
Are you gonna?
Will that judge my unmanliness?
Well, before you play Dashboard, are you gonna have a tagline that says "Man up" and then it's a song about crying over your ex-wife of 10 years?
Probably something like "Tears is asleep." That would be my tagline. "Tears over heaven."
Tears over heaven.
Rock 93.3. Man up, you pussy ass bitch.
No, there's gonna be like emo stations maybe when we get older, and just be like, boys cry too.
And listeners,
But see, I guess maybe that's why, Tom, you're also kind of like, I don't care about it, because emo kind of was very an emotional.
I mean, we all grew up with emo, and you know, they got a lot of shit for these guys that were, you know, wearing eyeliner and talking about their feelings, but at the same time, it kind of mainstreamed that a little bit more.
and listeners, I just want to point out as we're having a show about masculinity, Kyle's wearing a very masculine shirt. He's wearing a shirt with 2 leopards on it. One is looks like it has its eyes on.
Just like the silhouette of the.
Yeah, but the
I think
one
it's
in the
actually
foreground
a mountain
has its
lion,
eyes
a
fixated
puma.
on food off the shirt.
And then it says Oklahoma in cursive.
It's a very masculine shirt.
I've never
for the
been
occasion.
to Oklahoma, but I assume you walk around with your thumb in your belt so people know you have a penis.
Yeah, or your thumb in your mouth. I used to do that all the time. That was one of my favorite, like, oh, I got it. Oh. It's the funniest. Tom thinks that's amazing.
So childish. So stupid.
I still think a lot of people, though, I don't know if it's just around here, and I know, once again, I surprise this topic on you guys, and I really want to lend this, but I think Kelly would be fascinated with it, because the guy's a fantastic writer. Like, to the point where I'm just like, I have to stop and, like, go for walks and, like, to think about what I just read.
Like, what has he said that stuck out to you so much? Is there like
Just-
a certain theme or topic he's said about something that's
I mean, he's
stuck
really
with you?
kind of explaining his life, but he's also talking about characters he's met who have kind of posed these questions to him that have been, like, life-altering. And he seemed like a very well-rounded guy. He does not disrespect women, but he just talks about what it is being a man, and he's breaking down kind of what you're doing. I mean, I guess we're kind of... The book was published in 91 or 92, so it's a little dated, but it's not too dated, because he still talks about the
I think
aspect...
that's when we were 4, so it probably resonates now because we've grown up in a culture where masculinity is either eroding or changing.
Mm-hmm.
So his book makes sense now because we're 30 and we've grown up.
He also goes in kind of to he's touching on that, but he's talking about what you should do or what you need to do to live a fulfilling life, and kind of how you should kind of ask questions rather than seek answers, which is a big thing about the book, which I find fascinating too, because if you keep seeking answers, you're just going to go into the wrong places, and you just need to ask the questions.
Or like confirmation bias, where you already know what you want to hear, and that's what you look for.
Right. No, but it really is interesting. I still think there's a lot of, and I'll wrap this up, but there's a lot of people around here that still subscribe to the notion of, like, you need to do certain things to be super masculine. I went to go to
like
lunch
burp in the middle of a podcast.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm drinking beer. It makes
That's
me
very masculine right there.
But there's certain, to me, it's just kind of sad. It is archaic now, and that we need to evolve. But I guess, I'm glad to see it's changing. I'm glad people are more finding their true self-identity, and because I don't know, it's a good thing. It needs to change.
Yeah, coming from a guy drinking light beer.
Right. Well,
you girl.
Well, I'm drinking
gotta watch
Old
my
Milwaukee like a man.
And I'm just sitting here
and
drinking water.
I know it's for a man because it's got a pin-up girl on it.
Well, that's the thing. I go to a bar and I drink a shandy, and people make fun of me. I'm like, I fucking like shandies. Fuck you.
They're delicious. The lemon ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck are you? Like,
if I want a nice fruity drink in between my Jenny Lights.
Here's another thing. All male products, you ever notice how they always, like, the writing's, like, kind of, like, sporty, and it's
like,
in, like
black or gray packaging.
Right. It's in the, like, almost looks like an oil can. They intentionally do it. They want it, like, you don't want to use this feminine-looking Dove soap on your balls, which is, by the way, the best soap. It's the best soap.
I saw this picture online. It showed some toothpaste that said like for men on it, and it was like cinnamon flavor. And some woman took the picture, and she was like, "Oh, my womanly mouth can't handle this cinnamon burn. It's too much."
See, and they make it
cinnamon is
sexualize
spicy.
it.
I don't like cinnamon. It hurts my tongue.
But that's the stupidity of it. That's so fucking retarded.
Men can take the cinnamon burn.
Right.
I can't, but
Like
I love me hot sauce.
Do you remember Hungry Jack meals or whatever? Like,
Hungry Man, the TV.
They still exist. You can find me your local grocer.
I used to be so pumped when my mom would get those.
But you were a hungry man or a hungry boy.
Yeah.
You want to be a hungry man.
It's like a kid's cuisine on crack. It's like, this is gonna...
There's so much food, though, but you look at it, it's like...
There's even more questionable chicken inside that plastic container.
What is your daily sodium intake? Oh, 550%. That does not seem right.
They're so bad. Next time I go shopping, I'm going to look at the back on them.
Fried chicken ones, speaking, like, we were talking about Bojangles, the fried chicken are fantastic. Good in the microwave.
Back to Bojangles.
Just remember to leave your mashed potatoes unwrapped until they're done. And
right, and
something like
the brownie, you would have to peel off the plastic and stir the brownie. And then
because it was like soup.
Oh, that was like molten
nasty.
lava, those TV
Lava
dinner.
Or that little apple.
You're like a kid
treats.
trying to bite it.
You become a Batman villain after eating it. I'm Brownie Mouth! Ah! Why are you so mad at Batman? What did he do to you?
Burned by a TV dinner brownie.
Now I will destroy Gotham. Write that down.
Okay, you're going to destroy Gotham?
So,
does anyone have any last thoughts on masculinity? I'm just going to say, me personally, maybe it's because of how I grew up or just how my opinions are as an adult. I don't understand masculinity. Just to really judge myself in a quick thought, I wear bright clothes. I have a pink fan right there. I'm very probably the opposite of masculine. The only masculine thing I did is I played sports in school. Besides that, I don't understand masculinity. I do think it probably gets in the way of a lot of constructive things being done. Because you're trying to protect your ego and things like that. I just don't. It's like, get out of the way of yourself and just be a person.
I just think when you view other cultures, other time periods in history, it just really kind of breaks down what these ideas of like hyper masculinity are. Kind of makes them seem a little silly. I think you can benefit from just analyzing what what it's meant throughout time in different places, and ultimately, as things are changing, I think they're probably for the better.
Last thought to you, Josh.
I know we're going to touch base on it next week, but I still believe there's a certain group still holding on to it. You know, beer drinking, gun toting, NASCAR loving people. You know, like, it's okay to think outside the box, and it's okay to question. But I don't know if I'm necessarily optimistic, but I feel like whatever.
And listeners, that's why you should listen to us next week to get our opinions on those subjects. You can listen to us on our website. You can find us on the iTunes. As Kyle so eloquently pitched it last week, we're on something called the YouTube now. Our website's keeping it. We are on YouTube, Josh. If you didn't listen last week, we're on the YouTube.
It's this new.
It's just a logo on a video. It's pretty fancy, pretty high tech. A lot of CGI. Michael Bay would love it.
We should do a live video one time.
We can.
I'm
It's
sorry,
not that hard to do.
Can we do a pop up video?
Sure.
Pop.
You can find us on Facebook,
Tom ate
Twitter,
those before
and my
recording.
outro's getting ruined. And just so you know, listeners, we promise to be back next week with
Eagle
some more
meow.
captivating talk and a lot more eagle sound effects.
Eagle meow. I want to hear a freaking eagle. Our listeners want to hear an eagle.
I thought you just said eagle meow. Like that would be cool.
Fantastic.
Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great day.